The economy has been brutal, and we all have felt it.
But some districts continue to send their administrators on expensive long-distance trips for what is called professional development. But do they really need to travel that far? And what are they bringing back to the classroom? Superintendent Saunders, we'd like to ask you some questions about those records that we've requested. Dr. Teresa Saunders is the only local superintendent who refused to give us any school records. Your contract, professional development, training, and travel? Our fight for the truth in the troubled East St. Louis School District will take us on an unexpected trip to a confidential source who has some of the records the district refuses to give us. These documents are the ones that we requested through the Freedom of Information Act, but sometimes the East St. Louis School District doesn't believe in the Freedom of Information Act. But first, our investigation focuses on districts that did cooperate.
So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
When President Obama was sworn into office, the Roosevelt High School Marine Junior ROTC cadets marched at the inaugural parade. Roosevelt Principal Terry Houston was there too, staying 3 nights in a $304 a night hotel room in Washington. That trip cost the district almost $2,000.
Once in a lifetime opportunity. Could we have looked at getting some supporters to pay for the bill? I would think the answer would be yes.
Would you handle it differently if you did it again?
Yes.
After that trip, Principal Houston flew to New York, joining 16 other district employees for a conference sponsored by the American Federation of Teachers. The superintendent defended the Federation of Teachers conference and a reading conference in Minneapolis that was attended by 15 employees. Combined, those 2 conferences cost taxpayers $27,738.
And so some came from schools that had as many as 100 employees. And so that's a really, really small number for the number of employees who needed to come back and transfer that knowledge to 74 different schools.
Our investigation also uncovered a $956 hotel bill for a 3-day conference in Memphis. We also learned that during the last 2.5 years, one St. Louis City School District employee attended 18 conferences or workshops. Another went to 17.
I think we need better processes in place.
So our request prompted you to take a closer look at it?
Most definitely.
Now let's go back to the definition.
The small but wealthy Ladue district has a strong commitment to professional development. Since June of last year, Ladue has sent employees to 23 states, including 18 people who went to the Assessment Training Institute in Portland, Oregon, at a cost of nearly $25,000.
In the last 3 years, our middle school has made tremendous strides in student achievement. And I think a lot of it is because of the training that they received at this assessment conference.
13 months ago, the Ladue district spent $1,740 to help the director of parent education attend a coaching conference in Adelaide, Australia, where she was one of 24 presenters.
That's not a normal trip that we would have, but I would say periodically if we would have an administrator or an educator that's asked to present, first of all, that's a compliment to show that we do have a strong skill set with our employees and to also to share that. But the district would not pay for the full trip. We paid for lodging to help the employee out.
The Clayton district, which has 1,000 fewer students than Ladue, spent almost as much on out-of-state professional development. 6 months ago, Clayton sent 10 employees to San Diego for a cost of $12,603. Last March, 7 employees went to a National Science Teachers Conference at a cost of $9,385. The Clayton district insists many educators need to leave the area for top professional development opportunities because there simply aren't enough of them in the St. Louis area.
The problem with staying in regional conferences, we don't see the top experts in the field. We don't network with a tremendous amount of high-performing districts.
You better figure it out.
But you don't need out-of-state conferences to become a great teacher. 2 Metro East teachers, Anise Brave of Alton High and Jennifer Jardin at Trimpe Middle School in Bethalto, are among the 8 finalists for Illinois Teacher of the Year. And neither one of them has traveled out of state for professional development. You've been a teacher for 8 years, and you've never traveled farther than Edwardsville for professional development.
No.
You feel like you're missing anything?
No.
Our professional development, we try to make it worthwhile, useful,
and cost efficient. I think that's the key word here at Alton High School.
After we first broadcast that part of the story, Anise Brave was chosen Illinois Teacher of the Year. Does it send a bad signal, do you think, during these economic times, if you send somebody to Australia, if you send somebody to Seattle or Washington or New Orleans or New York?
I think you have to be reasonable. Of course, depending on the situation, you don't want to send a bad message.
Superintendent Saunders. So what message is the East St. Louis School Superintendent sending? After we filed repeated requests under the Freedom of Information Act, we finally met that confidential source who gave us school board minutes that show the board approved repeated trips to California, Washington, D.C., and many other long-distance destinations. The board also approved $105,000 in training for paraprofessionals, but didn't disclose how, when, or where the money would be spent. Why won't you give us public documents? Ladue, St. Louis City, and many other local districts have cut back on their travel, especially long-distance travel, and some districts now refuse to leave the metro area.
However, when decisions like travel and training are made, it ultimately is the responsibility of the superintendent.
But what other obstacles do they face? We sit down for a very candid conversation with the superintendent of one of the area's largest districts. Find out why he feels he can save his struggling schools. It's a fact. The St. Louis Public School District is one of the worst performing districts in the state of Missouri. It lost its accreditation 3 years ago and remains under state control.
One of the key obstacles to growth has been leadership. The district is on its 7th superintendent in 5 years. We spoke with the current superintendent, Kelvin Adams, about parents' concerns and his efforts to turn around the struggling district.
Children that are 18 and 19, just graduating out of high school, they cannot read.
Hundreds of parents spent a Saturday morning at a town hall meeting at Vashon High School, many of them wanting answers from Kelvin Adams.
When is Gateway going to be air conditioned?
I can't tell you anytime soon.
We just laid off 3 teachers this week.
I know there were parents who were concerned about basic services.
Yes.
Books, air conditioning in the school, having enough teachers.
You got 20 or 30 kids up in there with 1 teacher. That's like a slaughterhouse.
Yes, we have cut some teachers, and the class sizes are a little bit larger than they normally have been.
Adams has been dealing with these kinds of issues ever since he was named superintendent of St. Louis Public Schools 2 years ago. His short-term goal is to get the district on the path to accreditation.
Yes, you did.
And he seems to be headed in that direction. The district now meets 5 of the 14 standards toward regaining accreditation. That's up from 3 last year. The graduation rate stands at 60%. That's up 15% from the previous year. But St. Louis Public Schools is far from where it needs to be, and Adams concedes mistakes happened under his watch.
But I do think we can do a much better job in terms of the dollars that we receive and how we utilize those dollars.
How would it need to improve?
Well, I think we have to look at every expenditure to determine if it's an appropriate expenditure. And I don't know that we do that on a regular basis with as much detail as we need to do.
And Adams says the district should communicate more with parents.
We have to own up to the fact that we have not always been providing them the information that they need to have, telling them that the bus is going to pick up their child at a certain time. Those are things that we have to do a better job at.
Like other urban school districts, St. Louis Public Schools has its share of problems that come from the community surrounding it. John Yurkovich is the director of the Cooperating School Districts, which includes nearly 30 metropolitan school districts.
What it is more than anything is a matter of degree. High unemployment, family situations, high mobility of people within the district, and all of that creates, a degree of instability within the district itself, and it creates some challenges they just have to address.
He says the district alone cannot shoulder the burden of producing responsible citizens, and parents at the town hall seem to agree.
What do you think is lacking from the parents?
Discipline. I think discipline is lacking from the parents. You have to be firm. You have to put your foot down. You have to show your kids that this is tolerated, this is not going to be tolerated.
This is really not about Kelvin Adams, the superintendent. This is about the 25,000 kids that we service every single day, and I think that's what people need to be concentrated on.
A state-appointed panel says the struggling St. Louis Public School District should continue with its appointed board until the district regains its accreditation. Now, next month, the state will announce whether it will sign off on that recommendation.
So we've seen what kind of impact a lack of direction can have on the actual school district.
But what about the impact the school district has on the community? A good district has a direct impact on the community, but so does a bad one. We'll explore that story next.
You've heard it before. St. Louis has one of the worst performing school districts in the state, and students aren't the only ones losing out.
Good school districts not only produce quality students, they build communities. If a school district is in trouble, the effects can be devastating to the points where families just want out.
A high school football team can be a great source of pride.
Sumner versus Roosevelt, and Sumner's going to win.
Glenda Thornton, a 1978 Sumner High graduate, never misses a game. But as much as she tries to give back, she also wants out of a school district that she believes failed her son. What does he do now?
Works at a warehouse. Can't get in college. So that says a lot.
The quality of education determines the fate of its community. In this case, the city of St. Louis.
Whether it's trying to, create safe neighborhoods, bring jobs and businesses into the city of St. Louis, is really related a lot to the quality of education that they have.
The St. Louis Public School District has a history of failure. Stripped of its accreditation, overseen by a special administrative board due to low test scores, poor financial oversight, and declining enrollment. Despite some improvements, enrollment is still down. Families looking for more quality education are turning to charter or private schools. Others are moving out of the city.
It's a hit and miss a lot for parents. And if they can't find another choice, they leave.
That trend also plays out across the river in a city featuring one of the most historically challenged districts in the nation.
Now what are we looking at?
Test scores and enrollment continue to sink at East St. Louis School District 189, which remains under state academic watch.
Kids loved it.
Otis Woodard thought his children could defy the odds. His family lives in a nice neighborhood. And he and his wife play active roles in their church and their children's education. Even the district recommended that News 4 speak with him.
We're known down in all the schools, so they know our faces when we walk in.
But the district was not aware the Woodards recently had a change of heart.
We didn't have any books to work out of, and it was just drama the first week of school.
What do you mean no books?
We didn't have it. Well, we still don't have books. They say we were getting books, but I don't know.
Things like that just automatically turn you off as a parent. It's like, enough is enough. This is how many years I've been in the area, 8 years, and this is not the first time that this happened.
Enough is enough. Those are his words.
As I said, parents have choices. And if he's in District 189, which he is, he has some choices. I can't tell you that every school is excellent. We wish that they were, but the high school is not.
And that's why the Woodards are thinking about moving to Belleville for the promise of a stable environment and quality education. Back on home field in St. Louis, you'll find advocates for St. Louis public schools pointing to positive signs of growth.
With the new school board and the new superintendent that we're working with very close, I think that we have an opportunity to right those wrongs and to get this school and get this system back on the right track.
We got a long way to go.
So often parents say they have their hands tied and there's nothing they can do about it.
But there is. When we return, a local education expert tells us things you can do to make your school district a better one. Tonight we've shown you a lot of fallacies in the public school system, but these problems can't all be blamed on the districts themselves.
If you live in that district, it's your responsibility to hold them accountable. But is this easier said than done?
Parents are the key part of the solution. If you have a district where parents are involved, they know the finances, they know what crime is about, they know the district administration is what direction they're moving. When parents are organized in a district, things happen because politically, parents run it, and the administrators and the teachers, the people we've hired, run around in it.
How can a parent make a difference in the way a school district is run?
Number one, what we worked on in the early 1990s is I worked with the White House to get legislation passed that gives parents the right, number one, to be involved in their school. Number two, each school has to have a parent involvement policy. In that policy, it is stated how you as a parent, on paper, with the district, have a contract, and we call it a parental involvement pledge. How are you going to be involved? Our parental involvement pledge says each parent who signs it is going to read 15 minutes a night and volunteer 10 hours a year in school and outside of school. That means that we have a database of all the parents who want to volunteer. We can send them messages about what's going on in school. We can get them organized. But if you don't get the schools to follow this federal law, it's in Title I. Every public school that receives federal money, half the schools in the country, most of the schools in the St. Louis region, have to follow these laws. And if they do, academic achievement goes up. You can fix a public school with community and parental involvement. East St. Louis can be fixed. St. Louis public schools can be fixed if they'll let parents in, and not fake parent involvement where they send parents feel-good messages, we love you. No, no, no. We want parents involved in policy. We want parents to be involved as a force for volunteer time. 10 hours of your time in a school year, multiplied across the entire district, makes a huge difference.
One place you can start your own investigation into your districts is through our website, KMOV.com. We've posted everything from salaries to travel to training dollars spent.
Remember, it's up to you to hold your district accountable. We at News 4 will also continue to investigate your public schools.
But there's no transportation.
You're taking it away from the kids.
Is this the signal that you think you should be sending as superintendent to accept a benefit like this?
I think the important thing for the public...
I know there were parents who were concerned about basic services.
Yes.
It was a horrendously wrong choice by this board.